Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 just aired and it already exceeded expectations. The two released episodes have been receiving high praise and for a very good reason. The word peak gets thrown around a lot in the anime community, but honestly, considering how good these episodes were, I think that's fair. Today, we're gonna review episodes 1 and 2 of Season 3. Let's get into it. We start off the episode with a classic anime trope, the unsuccessful washing of bloody hands. This immediately reminds us of the trauma that Yuji experienced in Shibuya and the guilt he carries from it. We then jump right into action with Yuji fighting a bunch of different cursed spirits. After a quick pause for a snack, we realize he's not randomly fighting curses, he's already engaged in a fight with Yuta. Now, if you're wondering why they're fighting, let me quickly refresh you on the ending of Season 2. With Gojo stuck in the prison realm, the higher-ups reinstated Yuji's death sentence. Yuta was appointed as his executioner, and since Sukuna cut out Inumaki's arm in Shibuya, he decided to accept and kill Yuji. This is probably a bit of a stretch, but I've seen people point out how this shot, the theater, is meant to represent the act that Yuta is putting on. More on that later. Again, it's probably a reach, but I thought it was cool enough to mention. We then go into a flashback to the proper start of the season. We get introduced to Naoya, and within a couple of sentences, we confirm that it definitely belongs to the Zenin clan. Naoya is the son of Naobito, the former head of the clan, and with the death of his father, Naoya fully expects to inherit his title. At the will reading, we're introduced to Ogi, Maki's father, and Jinichi, Toji's older brother. Naoya is very confrontational and dismissive of his relatives, further solidifying his superiority complex. The will states that Naoya shall be named the new head of the clan and inherit all the assets and cursed tools available to the clan. However, there's an exception to this. In the event that Gojo has died or lost control of his mental faculties, then Fushiguro Megumi shall be welcomed into the Zenin clan and made the head of the clan. This infuriates Naoya and he sets out to kill Megumi. He finds out that Megumi is looking for Yuji in Tokyo and states that he'll just kill them both. Back to Yuji and Choso, implying they've been staying together since Shibuya, and reiterates on Yuji's trauma and guilt. They then set out to clean out curses that have been rampaging in Tokyo since Noritoshi's released them at the end of Season 2, in order to make his escape. And this is where we start going into peak. In a beautifully animated sequence, we see Yuji gathering curses in order for Choso to exercise them all at once with piercing blood. These are just random curses with honestly zero relevance to the story. There was absolutely no need for this to be this well animated, but this was just a start. Choso points out that Yuji has become stronger since Shibuya, adding subtlety and control of his cursed energy to his raw physical power. Now, it's worth pointing out that Choso is a bit of a Yuji glazer, as he should be, but it's still a good observation. Naoya gets on the scene and starts making quick work of both Yuji and Choso. The pair notes that Naoya is incredibly quick, but it has to be more to that, probably the result of a technique. And we get a taste of what's to come, with really smooth and satisfying fighting animation, and a sequence that immediately became a meme and went viral. While the trio is bickering, they all sense an overwhelming presence, with Yuji mistaking it with Gojo and stating that it's even creepier, which is obviously incredible praise. That presence belongs to Yuta. If you've only watched the anime, it has been a long time since we saw Yuta. With the exception of the Season 2 finale, when he appears for a brief moment, we've only seen him in JJK 0, the movie, and that was 4 years ago. This is the first proper introduction in the anime. It's easy to forget that Yuta was one of only 4 special grade sorcerers, and I believe this introduction was meant to remind everyone of that. He's a big deal. The pair splits up with Yuta chasing Yuji and Naoya fighting Choso. After a quick sequence, we get thrown back to the theater scene before we start to the flashback. After a short fight and a casual flex from Yuta, with the help from Rika, Yuta manages to kill Yuji. Episode 2 starts with Megumi walking away from his sister, a prelude for what this entire season is about. It quickly goes back to the fighting, this time with Naoya and Choso. Animation-wise, it's generally not an understatement to say that this compares with the best fights in JJK, and that's saying a lot. I think it's fair to say that Choso is probably a favorite amongst the animators. It doesn't have that much screen time, but every time he does, it's incredible. Naoya has the upper hand at the start of the fight, and eventually they come to a face-off where they differ on what it means to be a brother. When I first read the manga and Chozo was introduced, I didn't really care for him and thought he was a throwaway character. The more I read, the more I liked him, and eventually came to the conclusion that he was a pretty good character. But with the treatment he's been receiving in the anime, he's rapidly becoming one of my favorites. Being a mix of a curse and human, Chozo's unique biology allows him to convert cursed energy into blood, meaning they can't really bleed out, making Chozo's blood manipulation a lot stronger. This caught Naoya by surprise, and he gets defeated by Chozo. Yuta arrives, and with just one punch knocks down Chozo. We get thrown into a Yuji memory from when he was a baby. His father, Jin, and his grandfather, the one we see in episode 1, are having an argument. The important part of the scene is his mother, Kaori, who walks in at the end and has scars on her forehead, very reminiscent of Noritoshi's scars in Geto's body. Turns out that Chozo, calling Yuji brother, might not be that crazy after all. We then see Yuji waking up in front of Yuta, and we finally see Yuta drop the act and behave like we remember him. He explains that Kojo visited him and asked him to take care of his fellow students, especially Yuji. He also mentions Akari and states that he should be fine on his own. If you read the manga, you know very well who Akari is, and if you're anything like me, are probably very excited. If you've only watched the anime and have a good memory, you'll recall that the name was already mentioned once before at the start of season 1 by Megami. This name drop does two things. First, it serves as a teaser of this new character that's most likely being introduced soon, and second, having Gojo himself essentially praised him, it immediately puts Akari as someone to watch out for. Yuta then proceeds to explain that in order to guarantee Yuji's safety, he made sure he would be named the executioner, so no one else would be after Yuji. Since he had to make a binding vow with the higher-ups, he needed to actually kill Yuji, but then immediately healed him as soon as his heart stopped. Healing others is something very uncommon, but he explains he's able to output positive energy in order to do it, something we've seen him do in the movie. Megumi arrives and both him and Yuji have a painful conversation about what happened in Shibuya and how they're both to blame for it. Megumi also confirms that Nobara didn't make it. Megumi then asks Yuji for help. See, his sister, Tsumiki, was made into a player in Noritoshi's culling game, and Megumi is trying to find a way to get her out. Yuji reluctantly agrees to go back to Jujutsu High, but asks that if Sukuna was ever able to get control of his body, Yuta should kill him on the spot, something Yuta agrees to. The three of them, alongside Chozo, go back to Jujutsu High where they meet with Maki and Yuki. Now, during that last conversation, the rules of the culling game were quickly shown. I'm not gonna go into detail because I believe they'll be properly explained in future episodes, but I've put them on the screen if you want to read them. The plan going forward is to consult with Tengen so they can get more information about Noritoshi/the culling game and to see if they can figure out a way to release Gojo from the prison realm. The episode ends with Tengen revealing himself to the group. These two episodes were really good, and if they set the tone for the rest of the season, we're in for a treat. The conversation with Tengen will most likely dominate the next episode, with at least half the episode being a discussion, if not more. But after that is non-stop action. This video was longer than I wanted, but since there were two episodes, I thought I should give them the time they deserve. Future videos will hopefully be a lot shorter. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing, and see you next time.